You don't have a starting problem, you have a finishing problem. That's why your life can look busy from the outside, but frustrating from the inside. You have notes, plans, half-finished ideas, saved videos, projects you were excited about for 3 days, and somewhere along the way the energy disappeared. Not because you stopped caring or became lazy, but because starting and finishing are two completely different things. Starting is emotional, but finishing is mechanical. Starting gives you novelty. Finishing demands repetition. Starting gives you an identity. Finishing forces you to deal with the boring details. At the beginning, a project feels exciting because it still exists mostly in your imagination. It has no flaws yet, no awkward middle, no messy first version or disappointing result. You imagine the outcome and the praise. But real work is different. Real work gets ugly. Progress is slower than you hoped. The first version is rougher than you expected. The motivation fades before the result arrives. And that shift is where most people quit. Not because the goal is impossible, but when the goal stops giving them emotional rewards. At the start, the reward is instant. You feel productive just by deciding. You feel different just by planning. You feel momentum just by buying the tools, joining the gym, or writing the first few lines. But finishing doesn't give you that same high. Finishing is quiet. It's making decisions. It's accepting trade-offs. It's choosing one version and letting the other possibilities die. And that is one hidden reason people avoid finishing. When something is unfinished, it can still become anything. The video could still be amazing. The project could still be perfect. The business could still work. The skill could still change your life. Once you finish, it becomes one specific thing. And reality is always narrower than imagination. That doesn't make it bad. It just makes it real. A finished thing can be used. A finished thing can be judged. A finished thing can teach you something. An unfinished thing can only comfort you, and that comfort is the trap. Because unfinished work lets you keep the identity without paying the full price. You can be working on a book without publishing a bad first draft. You can be building a business without asking anyone to buy. You can be getting fit without facing the months where your effort is invisible. And after a while, these unfinished things stop feeling inspiring. They start feeling heavy. Every open loop quietly tells you, you still haven't done this. The open tabs in your browser are annoying. The open tabs in your life are worse. So the answer is not to become more motivated. Motivation is too unreliable for finishing. The answer is to lower the emotional cost of completion. And you do that by changing what finished means. Most people define finished as perfect, impressive, ready, exactly like I imagined. That definition will keep you stuck. A better definition is complete enough to learn from. That is the objective, not perfect, not final forever, complete enough to learn from. Because the real purpose of finishing is not to prove you're brilliant. It's to create feedback. A finished video tells you what people clicked. A finished essay shows you where your thinking is weak. A finished workout shows you what you can actually recover from. A finished product shows you what people actually care about. A finished attempt gives you data. An unfinished plan gives you opinions. And opinions feel safe because they can't be tested, but they also can't improve your life. People who finish more are not always more talented. They are just less precious about the first version. They understand that finishing is not the end of the process. It is the beginning of the feedback loop. You finish, you observe, you improve, you repeat. That is how everything gets built, not through one perfect attempt, through repeated, completed attempts. So if you keep abandoning things near the end, try this. First, define the finish line before the excitement fades. Not vaguely, specifically. What does done mean? Is it uploaded, sent, submitted, published, delivered, completed for 30 days? Make the finish line visible, because if you don't define it, your brain will keep moving it. Second, cut the scope. Most unfinished projects are not abandoned because they are worthless. They are abandoned because they became too big. You started with a simple idea. Then you added more features, more research, more sections, more equipment, more standards, more pressure, and now the project is no longer a project. It's a monster wearing your original idea as a hat. Shrink it. Finish the smaller version, a rough draft instead of a masterpiece, 3 workouts a week instead of a full life transformation, 1 useful result instead of the complete perfect system. Small finished beats, large imaginary, every time. Third, separate finishing from judging. Your job during finishing is not to decide whether the work is good. Your job is to close the loop. Judgment comes after completion. If you judge too early, you interrupt the process. You start editing while you should still be building. You start doubting while you should still be executing. You start asking whether it will work before you've even given it a chance to exist. So make a rule. Finish first. Evaluate second. Improve third. Most people do it backwards. They evaluate, panic, then never finish. And finally, stop using new ideas as an escape route. New ideas feel amazing because they have no problems yet, but every new idea eventually becomes old work. And if you keep switching the moment the work becomes uncomfortable, you train yourself to chase beginnings and avoid endings. So the next time you want to abandon something, don't immediately ask, do I still feel inspired? Ask, is this actually wrong, or has it just stopped being exciting? Because those are different problems. If it's wrong, adjust it. If it's too big, shrink it. If it's unclear, define the finish line. But if it has simply stopped being exciting, that may be the exact moment you need to continue. Not every project deserves to be finished. Some things should be dropped, but drop them deliberately. Don't just drift away because the emotional reward disappeared. There is a difference between quitting with clarity and avoiding completion. One gives you freedom, the other gives you a pile of unfinished versions of yourself, and that pile gets heavy. So choose one thing, make it smaller, define done. Finish it badly if you have to, then learn from the result, because your life does not improve from what you almost did. It improves from completed attempts, messy ones, imperfect ones, real ones. Starting shows you what you want. Finishing shows you who you are becoming.